Ursher, baby.
Oh yes.
Versus Timberlake. I want to see that. That's what I want.
That would be good.
You know what? I never thought of that. We actually did kind of bid them into one another when it came to them doing music.
Yeah.
Usher and Timberlake.
Yes.
Yo,
that
make it
is,
happen, Swiss. Make it happen.
I just want to say, everybody that vote Monica, let the air out their man tires. That's the kind
of put the sugar in the tank, slash the tire. Yeah. You
so
should have known better.
Just that part.
Absolutely, man. That was just a little black tea, you know what I'm saying, that we can actually sip it down slow. I have no idea how to handle this. This week's black business is Kikifer Academy.
Yeah.
And I hope I said that correct. They are Entrepreneur Academy. It is a husband and wife business. They have this year alone employed over 100 people this year alone in 2020. Like when people losing jobs, they're actually helping people get jobs. Yeah. They've housed over 15 entrepreneurs in their store. So they have the same vision that we have, man. So the dollars in the black community can cycle a little bit longer than they do because we have the lowest average time when it comes to cycling black dollars in the black community.
Yes.
They are from Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
And they have made national news 3 times this year alone. I would like to introduce to everybody Brother Henry and Sister Keishonda.
Don't just support black businesses, shop with black businesses.
I think one of the biggest struggles with being a black-owned business is the stigma that comes with being a black-owned business. I can remember as a young child, the idea that black-owned businesses aren't professional. They're not cleanly places. They charge more money. All of those stigmas carry over to this day.
When people say the word support makes you think, oh, I'm gonna come support. So then somebody will say, well, I supported your store. I bought a $1.25 lip gloss 2 years ago. Well, that's not really support. That means you came in and you stopped, you looked around and got something. But to become a shopper, to become a consumer, to become a person who is loyal to the store means that when you have a beauty supply need, you come see us first.
We want the community support, but I think it's important for people to not support black businesses, but to simply patronize them.
If we can't meet your need, then you go outside, but always come stop and see and come shop with your brother before you shop with another.
And so I think that it's important for us to get out of this idea of supporting black business and just simply patronize and go to make that the norm to be at a black-owned business.
That's what it means when we say support black business. We don't mean to become a supporter, we mean to become a shopper.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you just well.
Yes.
Hey, what's going on, family? How y'all doing?
We good.
I'm doing well. Brother Henry, I wanted to ask you a question. Talk about what your business does, and then I'll get into my question.
So me and my wife, first of all, let me say thank you all for allowing us on your show, man. It's a great honor and privilege, and this show is pretty amazing, man. I've been entertained the whole time, but it's also educational, and it's good to see our own people vibing. Y'all energy is great. Like, I'm really digging this show. It looks professional. Like, it's not so Breakfast Clubby that it's, gossip and everything, but it's also pro-black. Like, I'm loving it, man. This is like, I gotta holler at y'all afterwards. This is beautiful. So I'm loving y'all show, man.
Appreciate that, sir. Appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. We thank you. We thank you for even being on, man. So tell us a little bit about your business.
So me and my wife are serial entrepreneurs. I'll probably forget some. So we have what you mentioned, Keisha's Entrepreneurial Academy is a private school that we started. It's entrepreneur based. All our students have to start small businesses and make money from the businesses. They all have to write books and become published authors. Of course, you got your core curriculum. It's Black history is a part of it. All the regular things that go into it. But that idea of entrepreneurship, ownership, taking control of your community, that's really the basis of it. And then outside of that, me and my wife just have, I think we did the count like 7 or 8 businesses that we own or we operate. And that's kind of where it's at.
I just love the things that I read about your philosophies and what you're doing with the school. One of the things that you put in one of the interviews that I read was they were saying that you were teaching them about generational wealth. And what I loved about that is that your school, the ages that you're doing that. And so I wanted to know, for a parent or even for an educator like myself that doesn't have the access to the private school, where would you start somebody, a child, like as early as you could start them? What are the concepts that you would start with teaching them about generational wealth?
And I can use my daughter for an example. So, everybody talks to their baby when they're in the womb, right? Everybody has all these dreams and ideas for their children from the time they're conceived. And so, as he said, being a student of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and one of the things that I listened to in particular over and over and over again was a lecture series that he called How to Give Birth to a God. And I started listening to that lecture like it was like my lifeblood. I would say that there's no limit to what our children can do. We put limitations on them based on the limitation of their age. But the reality is our children can do whatever God instills in them. The same idea is that even though my daughter couldn't read, we were still teaching her to read out the womb. Even though she wasn't necessarily adding and subtracting and doing math, I was still teaching her numbers and mathematical equations out of the womb.
Same here.
So whatever you want to teach your child, whether it's generational wealth, whether you want to teach them to be an entrepreneur, whether you want to teach your son or your daughter to be a garbage man or a garbage woman, whatever you want to instill in them, you start with it from the moment, really, especially for us women, Black women, it starts here for us before we even get pregnant.
Absolutely.
Because, whatever you put in this, it goes into your womb. And so you want to start instilling those same values and principles in yourself as a woman before you even get pregnant.
So I have a question for you guys. This is Yurk. First and foremost, thank you for coming on here. I was viewing your website. I thought it was absolutely magnificent. The question that I have for you is what exactly ignited your passion in creating a business that's geared towards evolving a child's thought process in regards to entrepreneurship? Because that's not something that you often find. Kids don't know what they want to be. They have different ideas, but you're really, it's almost like in a way like you're creating chess players, right? Because they're thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead instead of just within one voice. So what inspired this desire? I mean, I think it's absolutely wonderful. If you could shed some light on that would be great.
So we homeschooled our daughter for the first 6 years.
Okay.
And so she was like a guinea pig, if you will. So in homeschooling her, we had some idea on what it took to educate a child, what it took for them. What does a child need to know? What kind of math and science and English and social studies? So when we found the curriculum that can meet those needs, it just made sense to start a school. After we decided to start a school, a close friend of both of ours said, what is your school going to do that's different from everybody else? What is your school going to produce that everybody else is not producing? And we're like, well, what do we produce? We're trying to produce business owners in ourselves and in the people in our community. So again, going back to our teachings and following the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the idea came from just wanting to instill that same principles that we want to instill in ourselves in young people. And so starting with our daughter, if it works for my 10-year-old daughter, then it can work for her 8-year-old friend, and it can work for her 8-year-old cousin, and it can work for her 5-year-old best friend. So, what's good for one child is good for them all.
So part of what let us know we were onto something, if you go on my Facebook page and my wife's, we have videos of my daughter when she was 2. And because we started, the day she came home from the hospital, we had her in front of the TV watching, so your baby can read and watching lectures of the minister, all kind of stuff. So if you go on our Facebook page, when she's 2, we have videos of us educating her. And she's at the board doing high-level math at 2. Wow. So it let us know that we have proof of concept, because it's not that our daughter is any more special than any other child. It's just that we started working with her early, and there were certain little nuances that we picked up. I never talked to my daughter like she's a child. I never Google Gaga her. I always talk to her like I'm talking to another grown-up. We always use, big vocabulary. We're strong on reading. She has to read. Even when she was learning how to read, it was a consistency every single day. And so it's the work ethic that we put into running businesses is the same work ethic we put into investing in our child. So she has a lot more options. And now she has the understanding of running a business, of being academically sound. And then she inspires her friends. Her friends want to do it. So for us, it's white folks have given us a certain treatment. And rather than point the finger and blame them for what they're never going to do for us, why not educate the babies, and let's create the world that we want to see instead of wait for some benevolent white man to come do for us what we can do for ourselves. So.
Right.
All right.
So I have a question. I actually homeschool my children, and it's kind of aligning with what I'm doing at home, but the idea just came to me. So I feel like I have 4 little entrepreneurs at home. So how do you kind of cultivate that with 4 different kids from a business standpoint?
if you're a faithful woman, then I think that that's something that you gotta let God figure out. So I think that all you can do is instill in them the principles of being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And guide them on what it takes to be an entrepreneur, the mindset of an entrepreneur, or even getting to the point where you're giving them some of the technical sides of being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
How do you file your LLC paperwork? How do you become with your articles of organization? But what they do with their life, that's between them and their God.
Okay.
So, that's just like rearing your children. You can't, when they get to a certain point, there's nothing you can do to force it on them. They're going to have to want it and do for themselves. So you can cultivate whatever you see in them that they like to do.
Yeah,
so
that's what I mean. Yeah.
My daughter really, really, really wants to open up a cafe.
Okay.
She really wants to open up a cafe. And so we share with her that, we're not in a position to buy a whole restaurant for you to open a cafe, Samaya. Like, we're just not there yet. But if that's what you want to do, then what will it take for us to help you get there in the future?
And we actually have a whole new website. We got everybody is always Black owned. That's one of our core things. We always use Black on everything. Anybody can enroll in the website, go to the website and enroll in the curriculum. And we put out a lot of that information out there, and we put it in child form so that children can get it. So it's just different things: entrepreneurship, Black history, authorship, all these different things that we have in our school. We have it in a few days when the new website rolls out. Anybody can go in there no matter where you're at, and you can enroll in the courses and do those types of things. So that's a feature that we put out there.
Before we go, man, once again, I thank you for being on the show.
Yes,
I really appreciate you coming in, giving your knowledge, but then also getting an opportunity to talk about your vision. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Tell the people who are tuning in where they can find you.
We got the website that you just saw on the screen, kikifersacademy.org. We have social media, Facebook. If you look up Keishonda's Academy, big ones. We also have a YouTube channel. We're working on pushing some new content through there. Those are the major ways. Our phone numbers are all over there. Our store phone numbers are on there. Our cell phones, if somebody's trying to hit us directly, they have questions.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you again to you and your lovely wife, Sister Keishonda, Brother Henry. You guys make sure you guys check out Kikifer Academy and go to their website, man. Get some information about how to start young, and then also how to just get your business off of the ground today.
I know you was closing out, but I wanted to shout out Grindhouse Investment Group. That's a group of young people, everybody under 40, that recently we partnered up with. I think it's 7 of us total. Everybody who came in, we all put up a certain amount of money, and our vision and goal is to invest and buy up the block, buy everything Black. So I just want to shout out to Grindhouse Investment Group. Be on the lookout for them. And we're sharing that business model. Chicago and Detroit is next, and then we're going to spread it out on how to do exactly that. It doesn't take a lot. So I just want to give them a big shout out while it was on my mind.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you.
Thank you.
Brother Henry,
so
Sister
much to think
Keishonda.
about.
Much prosperity to you both.
Yes.
Continue doing the good work, and we'll be definitely looking out for you. We want everybody who is here watching right now, make sure you just share the broadcast. Right now, we are on Gorilla Cross Radio, gorillacross.com. Go to the website, download the app. It's absolutely free. It's something that you should do. Great music, great things that happen. But once again, give it up for Brother Henry, Sister Keishonda, kikifersacademy.org. That's right. You guys make sure you guys check that out. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
You guys be safe. God bless.